Welcome to Tylervision, Intense TV. I'm your host, Robert Lewis Tyler the First, and tonight we have a very special episode of Tylervision Talk Show Live. We have on the show tonight will be Kiara will be on the show tonight. That's right, and a little later on we're gonna have Lynette Lyon on the show from Lion Ranch Wildlife as well. And I was gonna tell you I was looking at the demographic on the YouTube for the viewers, and our viewers are United States, number one, Vietnam, second place, right? So tôi hiểu một ít tiếng Việt, nhưng tôi nói tiếng Việt không hả lắm, xin lỗi em. Hẹn gặp lại sau, chào tạm biệt. And our next one it went down to Brazil, and then Canada and France. Then today I found out we have viewers in Beirut and Dubai. So marahaba, chifalik, mabsut, shukran. Thank you for watching. And first I want to introduce my first guest tonight, and that would be Lynette Lyon. Lynette, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. And who is this guest sitting next to you? Want to introduce? Is this Kiara?
This is Kiara, and like me, she came from Lion Ranch.
And what kind of cat is this?
This is actually called an African Serval cat.
African Serval.
So
nice, beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, she knows.
And
she's
the cat
beautiful.
too. Yeah.
She's a cat. She doesn't need to be complimented.
So that's true, right?
Oh yes.
They know they're good, right?
She certainly does.
And so how old is Kiara right now?
Kiara is actually just about 18 months now.
Oh, so quite young.
Adult,
oh, it's adult.
It's what we call an adolescent.
So young adult, yeah.
Yes. So she's fully grown. She won't get any taller.
But young.
Yeah, she might fill out. Oh, what are we looking at?
She
might fill out a little more.
Right.
Yeah, she likes this set.
Yeah, they say never have kids or animals on the set, but hey, we make an exception in her case, right?
Oh, she's like a kid and an animal, all
yeah,
wrapped up.
all wrapped up. Yeah, it's like a teenager, and curious and checking it out.
As I understand, this is not as big. They get a little bigger?
They do get quite a bit bigger. This is actually on the smaller end. They get between 20 and 40 pounds. So she weighs 21 pounds. Our adult male at home, he actually weighs 40 pounds. So he's a really big cat.
And in domesticated, are they, when they're in this habitat, are they not as big sometimes, or are they bigger in the wild?
Well, they'll always be wild cats, so the range averages in the same in the wild, but she'll never be truly domestic. She is a wild cat. She just happens to be very well trained.
Nice.
And she's a descendant from the cheetah family, correct?
They are considered to be relatives of the cheetah, but they're actually more closely related to an animal called a caracal, which is their closest relative.
And how fast can she run? Is that are Servals ever timed, clocked or anything?
We like to say that they can run half as fast as a cheetah, which is 35 miles an hour, but jump twice as high.
Oh, nice.
Now, does this cat come from Mesopotamia by way of Constantinople through Babylon, or what part of Africa is this cat actually from?
These guys are actually found in sub-Saharan Africa. So any of the countries that are found below the Sahara Desert, they like to be in tall grasses or in marshlands.
Oh, wow. And why does it have those big spots on the back of the ears?
That's a really good question. The majority of wild cats actually have those spots on the back of the ears. That's called ocelli or eye spots.
Oh, I see it now.
And those eye spots are designed for actually several purposes. At first, they thought they were just to trick larger predators.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Into thinking that they could see them and that they looked bigger.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But now they've actually discovered that the female servals that have the ocelli actually gives the kittens something to follow through the grass.
Wow.
So the kittens can pinpoint the mother's, mother's ocelli.
And does the male have that too, or?
The males do have that.
But not to that extent.
They're for the defensive purposes. The males take no part in the kitten raising.
Okay, that figures.
What, obviously it's going to chase down animals smaller than it as prey, as, if we have time for the small fox, something like that. What would normally prey on this? What can catch it?
What's interesting with these guys as babies, they're vulnerable to just about everything in Africa. They're going to be vulnerable to snakes, to crocodiles, to lions, hyenas, birds of prey, just about anything. As they get older, as they get out of that stage where they're really, really vulnerable, they take kind of the safe road. They like to avoid things that are bigger or more dangerous.
Stay in trees and stuff like that? Or
they'll stay in trees,
cliffs?
they'll hide under bushes. They hide in the grasses. their particular territory where they live in those tall grasses, that's what they're suited for, and there aren't a lot of other predators that are specifically designed for tall grass. And by tall, I mean grass that's 4.5 to 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So other predators are very, very visual. Lions, cheetahs, they all rely entirely on vision. Her vision is exceptional, but that's not how she hunts.
So her strongest characteristics would be the ears, the hearing,
Yes.
the sight, and what? Tell me about the strongest characteristics.
Well, here's a great rule of thumb with wild animals. The biggest feature is going to be their best sense.
So the ears, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She has exceptional eyesight, a great sense of smell, just like all cats.
Wow.
But those ears, she can pinpoint the sound of a mouse moving through the grass up to 5 feet away from her.
Wow.
And what she'll do is she'll stalk that mouse through the grass and then jump 6 feet straight up in the air, right over it, and land on it without ever seeing it.
Wow. Just from hearing.
Just
right?
from hearing it.
Like a little bat.
They've also been known to jump about 10 feet straight up in the air to catch birds right out of the sky.
Wow.
One thing they were pretty famous for in ancient Egypt is they would hold competitions and take bets with these guys. They would give different colored collars to different servals and then release birds. And whichever serval caught the most birds would win.
Nice. And what would you use to like for when you feed it? What would you use to mimic its prey? Would you throw sausage up in the air? Or, you know what I mean? 10
feed 'em
feet away
mice
and
or
then
anything
watch
like
him
that?
jump up and attack? Or how would you mimic that? The food, the feeding process.
So feeding
like that?
and mimicking hunting are actually things that we try to separate because that behavior, we don't like her to associate it with food at this
Don't want to
point.
encourage that.
So she's fed a diet of she gets drumsticks, chicken drumsticks, which have the bone in them for calcium.
Nice.
She also gets a specialized red meat that we order from the San Francisco Zoo, and that's what she gets. For treats, she likes to steal stuff that she's not allowed to have, and she doesn't actually want to eat anything.
Just wants to
she
keep
just
it
wants
for a
to
little while.
have it, and then she'll hide it. So we have like mushrooms sitting on top of our cabinets. There's a bag of spinach behind the TV. We still haven't been able to get to.
That's fun.
She just likes to take stuff.
She was hiding under my desk earlier and just like who's under this curtain? And
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like hiding under it. She's like she makes forts and stuff over here. Right?
She
My
does.
Neelix is a hoarder also, and what he likes to do is he has his food, but then he'll see what we're eating, he'll want some of it, and then he'll actually like leave it there and then ask for more. So and then he has other stuff to go back to,
Exactly.
and we'll find Q-tips and everything else like in other parts of the
Rubber
house.
bands
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. and
Cute
he has his
paper
hoarding
clips,
spot.
you
He has his spot. Yeah.
My cat used to like to play with little tiny toys, the smallest little microbot toys you could find, like anything from Monopoly, or something that's
Oh,
really
yeah.
tiny and
exactly.
love little things, but which is dangerous because you would have swallowed, or something.
Absolutely.
And so try and hide those away from the cat,
How are these compared?
For
And
me.
I'm going to forget the name of them, but there are these breeds that are coming out to where they're, I guess, splicing domestic cats with like a tiger, so that a house cat would have tiger stripes. What is that called? Do you know what that's
Well,
called?
that's called
Tabby?
a toiger.
Okay, the
I think is what you're
toigers.
talking about.
How
But
are they
there's no-
compared as far as, because I've heard of the toigers that are actually taking some of the size gene from that, and they're getting a lot, they're getting somewhat big too,
Genetically, tigers are too dissimilar from house cats to actually breed. What they're doing is they are taking cats that are much more similar, like the servals, or there are several other species, the Geoffroy's cat, and breeding them for those specific colorations. Those are called hybrids. And the problem with hybrids is they're not really good pets until they're about 8 generations in.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
you have to dumb
You
it
have
down a little bit.
to
Yeah.
make them more domestic because the
howdy.
house cats we have, they are domestic, and that's the key word. She's
Right.
wild.
Now,
Yeah.
coming from Texas, a lot of people at first are going to mistake these for an ocelot. So, what are the major differences besides? I mean, like their color is pretty similar and their spots are pretty similar, but other than that, what's
So the visible differences, if you know what you're looking for, are pretty interesting. These cats have much smaller spots. Her spots are not ocelli or rosettes the way an ocelot's are. They're just the basic little black spots. Her coloration is very, very light. Now, the ocelots you see in Texas are actually a desert subspecies, but the ones in the jungle are much, much darker. The ocelot's ears are smaller, and their jaws are much, much wider. They're also shorter, stockier. Ocelots are powerhouses. They are designed to be able to grab something and drag it up a tree, and they're going to grab something 3 times their size.
almost like a mini leopard.
Oh, very much so.
Yes.
That's often what we refer them to,
Yeah.
or refer to them as. But these guys, they like to go after things that are smaller, more their size. So things that are their head sized or smaller. Biggest thing she'll go after is maybe a large chicken or a guinea in Africa. They love guineas.
Guinea hens.
Guinea hens.
Yeah, I had this cat. I have one cat. His name's Kit Kat, and he's black, kind of with like a little bow tie, kind of a tuxedo thing going on, right? But he do like tricks like us. Like people think you can't train a cat. He would poop on the toilet because I tricked him. I put a little tray with some kitty litter in there for a while, and then I removed it after a month, right? So he'll poop on the toilet, and I'll say like, "Hey, come here," come here. He thinks he's a dog. And I'll say, "Hey, roll over and play dead." He'll roll over and play dead. A lot of people think you can't train cats, right? And I'll say, "Dance," and he'll start dancing on the chair with his back legs clawing, and different, like I go up Simba, and he'll jump up on the table. But people think you can't train cats, but you actually can, right? I mean,
well, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because a lot of people who see these wild animals, they think they're so much easier to train than a domestic house cat.
it's the same, right?
It's a lot easier to train
the
a domestic house
Yeah,
cat
right.
than it is to train a wild animal, because you don't have to overcome that natural instinct to avoid humans.
Didn't I see you training wild cats over at Six Flags? Or
Probably you did. I worked in their wildlife department.
That was you, okay.
For 2 years.
Nice.
And yes, it was my first real job. I worked with my family's business since I was 10, but this is my first real job.
Real outside the family, yeah.
Yes, and it's where I got my experience with microphones and speaking to people, and I like to talk, if you didn't
Public
notice.
speaking.
Public speaking.
I'm kind of worried as how well the viewer is going to be able to see your cat, because if she's blending in with the background
We can maybe zoom in on one of the cameras on this on
Is there any way
Kiara
we can set her on
and get a
top of
little.
this or
Absolutely.
something?
Well, this will fall apart.
Okay.
He's already
Oh,
did
yeah.
twice, right?
Hey,
But
stand up for them.
yeah.
Thank you.
I got a glass. We got a.
I don't know if you
we
got a
got
better
we got
view of
There
her.
you go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
How
I was going to
beautiful
say
is
I've
that?
got a little black table she can stand
Will
on
she
in the
smell
back
me?
in the
Will she
corner.
let me pet her?
Oh, she should let you pet her. Come
Okay.
on, come say hi. Who is that?
Hi. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'll pet her later on.
That was classic cat behavior
Yes,
right
it was.
there.
Oh yeah, Neelix. He's very
Snubby.
He does that. Well, actually, he's kind of sociable now.
Yeah, I
He's been around
like
us so long.
Neelix. He's cool.
Yeah, he's all right. He's a good guy.
Well,
green
the
eyes and
reason they
stuff.
chose to hybridize this cat with the domestic house cats is they are the ancestor to the
Yeah.
domestic house cat. So thousands of years ago, when we first started domesticating the cat, these are the guys that
came
were
from.
coming into barns and eating mice and
Right.
basically domesticating themselves.
But this wouldn't have been, because you said they're from South Africa area. This would not.
Sarah's-
This wouldn't have been the type of cat that the pharaohs would have had, would it?
Yeah, yeah.
These cats would have been imported up
Okay.
along the
Nile
rivers,
and all
up
that, yeah.
along the
Ganges
Nile.
and all, yeah.
So, I mean, importing cats has been going on for a long time.
So these were the guards of the pharaoh souls and all
Yes.
that. Yeah. Okay.
And you'd find Serval's caracals are a big theme in Egyptian culture, as well as cheetahs.
And and it just hit me. That's why on hieroglyphs you see cats with big ears.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been them. Okay.
Yep,
All
yep.
right. That explains that.
A lot of the hieroglyphs exaggerated the largest features, so you see those really long legs, those real big ears. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, because this one, how many generations is this? I mean, you just don't get a kitten from Africa or Serval and try to bring him out. What's the bloodline of this one since you got her,
Well, I try very hard, most zoos, in fact, try very, very hard to make sure that we don't import our animals, because there are so many available right here in the
Right.
United States.
Yeah.
We use them for education. That's our whole point. And so if you're pulling them
Sure.
out of the wild, you're defeating the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And
So she's about 5 generations in. I think
That's
her parents or her great-great-great-grandparents came
And
in.
I was going to tell you,
25
at the
years
end
old?
of the show, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, I'm going to have some credits. So get a pen and paper
Absolutely.
ready, So at the end of the show, we get a pen and paper, and we're going to write down, the websites, the emails, all that's going to be in the credits at the end of the show. So you need to get a. And now is this open? This ranch open to the public?
Our facility on site is actually not
Okay.
open to the general public.
Right.
What we do is we take our animals off site for a variety of events, including classrooms.
Nice.
But we also take our animals into nursing homes and
Great.
hospitals.
We had Piners on last week, and they were saying we bring in animals for the Piners retirement home here in Napa, and I
Exactly.
thought that's so great that for people and people that are healing in hospitals, they also need that, right?
Exactly. Well, these are very stimulating. It's exceptionally stimulating to look at something in person. You can watch things on TV, and it's not the same.
It's not
And
there.
this is incredible. Yeah.
It's a little bit surreal.
Let's throw people off now on people who are looking at this and thinking, I want to go get me one of those, and for the wrong reasons. How much are they? You know, and what's the price? So, I mean, I'm trying to scare people off of like wanting to just grab one of these. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, it depends on where you're from. Thankfully, in the state of California, we are restricted by laws about having wild animals. So you have to actually go through both the state and federal government to own these animals. And you can't just go to the government and say, I want one for a pet. You have to say, I'm using them in education. I'd like to teach people about conservation. We promote a lot of things like the Snow Leopard Conservancy. So we like to use these guys for very specific purposes. Some people do get them as pets. It rarely, if ever, works out, and it's almost never legal. The big male I was telling you about, his name is Zeus. He spent 5 years chained to a tree in someone's backyard because they couldn't handle him.
I think I have a picture of, what is it, Chester?
Chester.
Can we bring up a graphic up on the monitor? I want to show this little picture of Chester. You can just drop it down and
Yeah, you want to cover this area with the
this
picture.
area,
Oh,
FS2 area is right here. Now, is this Chester right here?
That is Chester. Oh, he was such a good boy.
Frame storage too.
Chester was our first experience with anything Serval related. We were talking earlier about hybrids.
Right.
One problem with these hybrids is they often come out with a lot of physical limitations or a lot of just certain developmental issues. And so Chester was an F1 hybrid. That means he was half and half.
Ooh.
He was beautiful. He was also missing 1/3 of his brain.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just
Is that from?
that was just from the different types of inbreeding with parents on both sides.
Wow.
It was, so the
That's-
servals were inbred and the domestics were inbred, and it resulted in
Gotcha.
a kitten with
Wow.
some severe disabilities.
Oh my.
All right, we covered a lot with him and very educational on getting to know him. We have another pet that we have about enough time to talk about 10 minutes with you.
If you want to bring on Dixie the finnick fox, would you like to do
Absolutely.
that?
I would love to bring her out.
Maybe we'll have put me on camera one.
So I'm going to pass
and I'll
her
introduce.
off.
We're going to have another little visitor on our show today,
My associate
and that
here.
will be Dixie
Come
the
here, kiddo.
finnick
You go
fox.
back over here.
She is almost a week old. No, how old is this? How old is
Let's
this little
see.
baby?
She is 6 weeks now,
Okay.
and she's very, very sweet. This is the smallest species of fox, or the smallest species of canine, actually, in the world. There
This
she
is
is.
so precious. Look at this.
Cute.
That's
And
Trixie.
real jumpy, bouncy.
She
Yeah, I
is
got it.
bouncy,
Running
jumpy.
away.
This is
No.
about how big Neelix was when I brought him home. He fit right in the palm of my hand. He was all gray except for the tips of his toes and his ears. He was black. Then he turned all black after that because he started getting nutrients. I don't know if it's true, but the way the vet explained it was he was the last, he was a runt. And so he wasn't getting all the nutrients because of the other babies that were in line. And so when I took care of him, he turned all black. This is so precious. Where are these from?
These are actually found in the Sahara Desert. So
Oh, same
they-
place then.
Well, those are sub-Saharan, but
Right,
these
right.
guys are in the Sahara Desert, and what's amazing about these animals is they are perfectly adapted for living in the desert. They require pretty much no water. In fact, they've been known to go their entire lifetime without drinking a single drop
Just
of
get
water.
the moisture from what they eat,
Exactly.
like me. And again with the ears, right?
Again with the ears.
Okay.
So it's not just about hearing with these guys, though.
Mm-hmm.
Their ears serve a very specific function besides listening.
Really?
The surface area of the ears actually contains more blood vessels per square inch than any other part of their body. So they work along the same lines as a radiator.
I was going to say it's because of the desert, right?
Exactly. The
Okay.
hot blood flows into the ears. The surface area
Cools
and
it
the
off.
thinness of the skin allows the heat to dissipate,
That's wild.
and the cooler blood flows back into the body.
That's wild.
Now, these are also, we spoke earlier about animals that were carnivores, omnivores, herbivores, about how cats are obligate carnivores. They only can survive on meat. They'll occasionally eat other things,
They
but
can
they
eat
can't
some fruits and
live
vegetables,
off of
but
it.
they can't
They
survive
would
on them.
die.
Right.
These guys are actually the only animal
She's
I can
nipping my
call an
finger.
obligate omnivore. They have to have
Okay.
both meat and fruits and
Really?
vegetables.
Okay.
Now, other canines will eat fruits and vegetables, but they don't require it. These guys have to have it.
I'm going to give you back.
Yeah, because I was going to say
she's biting me.
Ooh,
my
are you
cat
nipping him?
my cat would eat tropical fruits, and I'd
Oh,
get
yeah.
exotic fruits and stuff and cut them up and mangoes and papayas and jom-joms and all kinds of strange.
No, I
and
think I was
just
being
loved
more
it.
fascinated by holding the thing. I may have missed. How big do these get?
Like I said, they're the smallest species of natural canine. So the naturally existing canine, so they only reach 2.5 pounds,
Okay.
fully grown. Now, if occasionally in captivity or the people who have them as pets have a pretty bad tendency to overfeed them. So I've met one that was about 4 pounds, and she just looked like a sausage roll.
Is she going to stay this color, or is she going to gray out or anything?
She's not going to gray out. She's actually going to turn a very pretty golden color. So they actually get kind of yellow when they're adults.
And what kind of sound when they're adult do they make? Because I've seen these
Kind of a yellow.
these gray and red fox up in the mountains up here that come up and they bark at me. Sound like a sick chihuahua kind of, or maybe a little poodle or something. And what kind of sounds do these make when they're adults?
Oh, I hope I don't blow your microphone out with this.
Okay.
These guys are very, very high pitched.
Wow.
And so when I speak to them, when I talk to my foxes,
Yeah.
I try and mimic them. And so the closest I can come up with is they go
Really?
very high pitched, and that's just the way they kind of are.
It's almost like sonar, huh? Like,
Yeah,
like a
you'd
bat,
think.
right?
They could hear each other real
Probably.
Oh, they can hear a mouse's heartbeat
Wow.
underneath the desert sand.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
about 2.5, 3 feet underneath the ground. They can hear an insect walking 5 feet away from
Oh,
them.
man.
Now, these wouldn't be a recommended pet either.
The worst bite I've ever had was from a fennec fox,
Oh,
and I've
wow.
worked with some dangerous animals.
Yeah.
And they don't make good pets. They tend to latch on to maybe one person who would be one member of their family, and then that's about it. And everybody else is fair game, so to speak.
Yeah.
They don't have, they do have some predators in the wild, but mostly on the edges of the Sahara. And when you get to the center of the Sahara, there aren't a lot of big things. And
Yeah.
so they're pretty fearless.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I have a fellow educator, fellow zookeeper, and she goes, oh, yeah, I hand-raised that little guy. He's great. Walk in there, and 2 seconds later, I walked back out, and we were done for the day.
Now, this isn't the kind of pet that you want. You know how, like, you have people that will pair a cat and a dog together, a chihuahua and a cat, and a cat or something. This is not the kind of pet you want to pair with a cat, correct?
No, the only thing you might want to pair it with is another fennec fox.
Okay.
These are the only foxes that live in packs. They live in family groups, so they do require another animal, but it has to be another fennec.
Of its kind.
What,
yes.
what does he eat, basically? Does he eat the insects or the mice that you were
They'll
talking
eat
about?
mice, rats, snakes, lizards, birds, bats,
Fruits,
roots,
vegetables.
Anything a
vegetables.
dog would, yeah.
anything they can get
Mangoes,
a hold
papayas,
of. When you're
guavas,
when you're in the Sahara Desert,
whatever
your
is-
options are pretty
somebody's
slim.
lunchbox, picnic baskets.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's just, let's hope this doesn't happen, but this would be something that I'm sorry, how do you say her name? Kiara, right?
Kiara.
That
Kiara.
would prey on, right?
Kiara thinks Trixie's name is Snack.
Yes.
So we don't have them play together. The only animal Kiara plays with is she was actually raised by a domestic house cat. And that's
Oh,
one of the
really?
reasons she's so
Nice.
mellow.
Yeah.
Is she
She didn't know the
she-
difference,
Yeah.
right? So,
No,
boy,
he was
howdy.
6 months old
Yeah.
and she was 6 weeks old. And if she bit him too hard, he
Right.
would smack her, which is, that's what cats do.
They're common, yeah.
You-
We got about 5 minutes left, so I want
All
to
right.
cover some other areas. I want to know about the government, the USDA, the Fish and Wildlife, Fish and Game, whatever, about checkups on the ranch, and how does that
Yes.
apply, and how is that going? And do they come
Anyone
in
who-
and do that? Do
Oh,
they-
yeah.
Okay.
Anyone who owns
Did you pass? No.
Anyone who owns these animals legally is required to undergo inspections as much as
Okay.
twice a year by both USDA and Fish and Wildlife. And thankfully, I've passed every single
Good.
year.
Flying
the past
colors,
3
right?
years. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
They even seem to like me, so.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very friendly.
Yeah, you're very likable.
Yeah.
You know.
But bureaucrats.
We even like you.
Right,
so-
I was gonna say, but bureaucrats.
And we don't always like all our guests. But
What would be
Just
the
kidding.
most on your ranch? What's the most exotic or even the biggest animal you have there?
is it the camel?
The largest animal we have is our 2,100-pound camel.
Wow.
His name is Humphrey. He's
Humphrey.
actually the first exotic
And
animal.
is he-
he's
is-
a one-hump.
I thought he was hump-free.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
one hump free.
He has no.
There's a llama named Dolly. Go figure, right?
He's one hump free because he only has
Oh,
one
okay,
hump.
I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
But he's actually the first
Over my
exotic animal I ever trained. We got him when I was 14.
Second hunt costs $5.99. You get one hump for you. One hump. What are you eating today? Camel hump.
And you raised him from a baby.
I got him at 6 weeks old. Or the
Wow.
ranch, the
Was he
family
like
got
this?
him at 6
How
weeks
big?
old.
He must have been like this big.
He
right?
was 138 pounds, if I recall.
Wow.
So yes, he was about not quite 4 feet tall.
Like
Did
about
he
as
ever
tall as
spit on
Roland
you?
then, right?
Right.
No.
Did he ever, you're shorter than
You can
me.
mention
Did he
he'd
ever-
be
Have
5 foot.
our camels ever
You can
spit?
mention take him on.
Our camels, neither of them have ever spit.
Wonderful.
Our camels are
I think that's
very
mostly
well trained.
llamas, right?
Well, no, I think camels do.
Do
too.
they?
Oh, camels
Yeah.
are very capable.
Really?
But
Yeah.
here's a good rule of thumb. Llamas spit more often.
Oh,
Camels
yeah.
spit more quantity. So when a camel spits, they really mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get it from deep.
We had this
Oh, yeah.
guy, Larry the llama, when I was at this place, Vine Village in Napa here, and he's like, you know, alfalfa all over you.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, thanks.
But
Thanks,
it's just
Larry.
a bunch of little spits.
So-
No, when a
Yeah,
camel
no,
does
and it was clean. It was like chewed up, alfalfa. It's like
yeah.
grass, you know.
So that's the
No,
biggest. Is
no,
this the
it can't.
smallest?
wasn't like he was like
See, the smallest
getting the
animal.
water he drank a month ago.
She is the smallest animal I have right now, and the fennecs, I guess, are the smallest adult animals I have on the property as well.
Now, do you also handle insects and reptiles?
I do handle reptiles, but the only one I actually have is an alligator.
I would love to meet the alligator.
Yeah, can we bring
She's
the
pretty
alligator
cool.
on sometime?
Sometimes, certainly.
Okay, will he fit on the couch?
She will. She's a small alligator.
We might have to point one of those downward for that,
Yeah.
right over there, so I don't
Oh,
get.
I'll hold her, or you can hold her.
I've held an alligator,
Yeah.
a small one before.
Her
That
name
was
is-
his
mine.
shirt. He had an alligator
But I
on
had
his
to
shirt.
hold
Right?
it- I had
It
to
was
hold it
Izod
out.
shirt. He had an alligator.
I had to hold the mouth so that it wouldn't snap at me and hold it like, kinda
You
do
don't
it.
have to hold her mouth.
Okay.
Her name is Interrogator.
Can we? Can we lay her on her back and do the go to sleep trick?
Yeah, rub the belly.
She's never done that,
Yeah.
so I don't know how she'd
I
react.
do that with
Well,
like
they-
little reptiles, like anoles, and and I put them. They lay on their.
I was gonna
Remember
say,
that? You
you
rub
guys
my
can
belly,
do
I'll
it
just
with
roll
each
over and go
other.
right to sleep. That's like me, right there. So it's like, hey,
Okay, yeah, so I don't have
we
to
got
worry
about-
about you ever bringing a tarantula or
Yeah.
some kind of spider
got
breathe
about-
in.
I handle
Please
them,
don't.
but I
we
don't
got
have
about
to.
Wonderful.
2 minutes left, and we got a
Alright.
minute and a
I can
half for
handle.
credits. So, do you guys have any shout outs you want to do real quick? And
Websites,
like-
any
well, the websites will
information.
be in the
Yeah.
at the end of the show. We got, and
Would you
we
like
got
to
what
say
we
hi
got
to
is we got
Mr. Lyon.
But I like to say hi to Mr. Lyon. That would be my
Your
dad.
friend. Yeah, and I was pointing towards Mama over
I
here,
know
so
that
yeah.
was awkward.
I'm sorry. Well, no, I was
awkward.
her Mr. Lyon. Right?
Her Mr. Lyon. No, certainly.
Somebody's-
My parents are the ones who got me involved in wild animals and working with them. I've been working with exotics since I was 10 years old, and I never would have started without my family, without my parents.
Wonderful.
So it's
So-
pretty neat.
I want to check
Oh,
out this. Everything will be in the credits right here at the end. And I wanted to say right about now, boy, howdy, read all the credits or the fox gets it. No, at the end, no, read all the credits because we're protecting it. It was a joke. So, guests of the Tylervision stay in the jungle. Transportation provided by Camel. Humphrey, that is, right? So we'd like to thank our guests right here, Lynette Lyon, and also Dixie right here on the show. Kiara, she's taking a nap, right? I'd like to thank our guests, and we'd also like to thank our sponsor, Sal the Flower Guy, brings in these flowers every week. And he's probably the guy, that's why everybody's watching it in Dubai right now too, right? I figure the connection. And Ned's Barbecue, it's the best, right? And Doc's Trophy Shop across from McDonald's, right on Jefferson out here, brings in these great awards for the Grammys, the Bammys, and the Sammys awards every week. And our live studio audience, our TV studio audience, you're the best, Napa Valley. So we got headshots. We'll autograph these for all of our guests later. One for Kiara, one for Trixie, And then we got free car for all our live studio audience here. You get a car, and you get a car, right? So God bless you and yours. Remember on YouTube, Tylervision 707. Till next time, America. And pretty much we're out of here. So we'll